Hello and welcome to the Wednesday edition of This is Ibrox. It may be International Week, but news is never far away in the world of Rangers. We'll be discussing all the main talking points, from Czerny addressing the fans, Oscar Cortes being out long term, a massive October ahead, and the departure of head of operations and football, Creag Robertson. I couldn't get through all that myself, so tonight I'm joined by two fantastic podders. Firstly, Craig Dennett, you've escaped hosting duties tonight and they've been passed on to myself. How did you get away with that, mate?
Yeah, massive swapy shoulder from me over to you, Kyran. So delighted to be on the podcast and looking forward to just being able to talk about whatever I want rather than trying to navigate everything else that comes with hosting the podcast. So looking forward to it.
That's it, mate. Put the feet up, take it easy, swear if you want. No, I'm just kidding. That'll get you demoted. We're also joined by the World Ranger himself, JB. How are you?
Yeah, very well. Slightly different feel to the last international break. I think when we broke up for the last one, I think we were all delighted, which is unusual. So for this one, I think we could have probably done another couple of weeks, couldn't we? So, but no, we'll take it, and then hopefully we come back healthy and ready to push on.
I'll be honest, I'm delighted, and you know that's not going to happen. Touch wood, it doesn't, but that never happens. No Rangers international break ends up with having more players fit. But
True.
We'll get onto that. We'll get onto that. So I think we'll come to the most recent news, and something which was confirmed last night, that Creag Robertson is to depart the club, as I think his title was head of football operations at Rangers. Now, it's almost like everybody's deserting a sinking ship, and because the name Craig, I'll come to you first because it sounds like Craig. Where do we go from here? Because it just seems that we're heading in one direction, Craig. It's not really looking good. With so much to do at the club in terms of CEO, director of academy, now head of football operations, chairman. I think I've missed one as well. We are a shambles right now. So for you, how did the club solve this?
I think it's a difficult one. I mean, it's the balance of, are people departing a sinking ship, as you said, or are they, as it seems Creag Robertson has done, just found another job that they want to go do? I mean, it's a difficult one to tell without the context. I saw a lot of people on social media saying that he'd only been there since March. I think he'd only been in that role since March, but he's been with the club for a number of years. It's not like he's came in, seen that it's awful and just ran away as fast as he could at the first opportunity. But at times it just feels like we go round in a circle that just is never ending. I think at times it just looks as though people are coming in, we're hoping they're the new people that will help steady the ship. They would be the ones that come in with fresh ideas and be able to get us running like a proper professional football club should be running. And then they seem to be here for a year or two, and either they see what's under the bonnet as such and run in the opposite direction, or they don't quite have what it takes to make the changes that are needed, and then we just start that cycle all over again. And I'm getting quite sick of it, to be honest. It's not something that that I take joy in, the fact that even if they aren't doing the job properly or how we want them to do it, I mean, the fact that we're just starting from scratch over and over and over again is just, we speak so much about the first team and having to rebuild the first team and how important that is, but the background stuff is just as important, and stability there is just as important. It doesn't go unnoticed. But also we know how hard it is to find the right people for some of these positions. I think like CEO, for example, that's not a job you just chuck anyone into, especially at a club the size of Rangers. So it's a tricky one, but there are so many vacancies just now, and getting every single one of those right is so important, but also so difficult.
Yeah, and you make some good points there about like why are people leaving, and just a quick one to say, everyone that's watching just now between YouTube and Facebook, like, thank you very much for the comments, keep them coming. I'm actually going to come to you with this first one, JB. It's from RFC72. It says, the mad thing is he should never have been in the position in the first place. Another inexperienced promotion like Bisgrove as CEO. The worry is he walked from it, and why? Like, I think that is a question to all these people that's departing the club, starting from Bisgrove onwards. Is that a worry to you, JB, or do you see this as an opportunity for somebody to come in? The decks are already clear, it's a clear slate, and we go for here and start to move forward.
Yeah, I mean, I can see where people see where people are coming from in terms of looking at it from a negative perspective. I think all we can do is, without being too blinded, is try and approach things from a positive approach. Anyone coming in now has got a clean slate. It's not very often in any business, unless you're starting from the ground up, do people at that level go in with that opportunity to be able to do that. We will be saving on wages, so we are in a cost-saving exercise by the sounds of it. So if you think of all these background jobs that have been going on, they're all getting paid. So hopefully that money's all being squirreled away, ready for this new board, new revolution of back office people. So I think it's just one we've just got to wait and see. I think we can't control it. We can control things on the pitch to a point by the fact that we can get behind the team, we can get behind the players, whether that be on the pitch, social media, day-to-day interaction with players in supermarkets and stuff. You can kind of help people that way. However, with the board stuff, let's be perfectly honest, we don't know. We don't know what the operations are. We don't know what Creag Robertson's day-to-day duties were. We all probably think we do, but I don't think anybody could stand there and say, yeah, that's what he did, that's what he brought to the club. This is what he didn't bring to the club. So I'm just hoping that we kind of do things in the right order now, whether that be chairman first or CEO. Probably feels like CEO comes in first and let him build his team from afresh. My only challenge with that is we've got to get it right, because if we don't get that bit right, we'll just put ourselves further and further and further behind and go into a spiral. We might need to see a bit of a safe CEO appointment in order to help us get over the line. And what I mean by that is somebody that is really established, has been round the block before, understands the size of the club. I don't think the fella from St Mirren would have been a safe appointment. I think that would have been a cheap appointment, but I don't think it would have been necessarily what we need right now. So yeah, I don't envy that person, mind you, but that person's got to come in and they've got to get a grip of the club, get a scruff of the neck, and start to build us back up again, because we do feels very broken, very disconnected. And let's just hope that we can bounce back as quickly as possible. But on the pitch will take care of itself, as I say, but the stuff up above, and Clement's touched on himself. I don't think it's been fair on the fact that we've laboured everything for him from a communication perspective. So we need some of these people who will be earning decent money to start earning it when they do come in.
Kieran, I do wonder, JB spoke about we need a sort of safe appointment, a sort of stable appointment in that CEO role. I think we all expect and hope that the size of the club that Rangers are, it's an attractive option for people of that level. A big part of me wonders at the moment if people are maybe just taking a bit of a step back from it when they would have in the past jumped at the chance for that role. I don't have any huge basis for that, but I just wonder if the difficulty we're finding in finding the right person, it seems, to take on that role, if people are maybe just taking a step back, going, that's maybe a job I'd like in the future, but not at this very moment, and that's maybe why we're struggling a little bit at the moment.
Yeah, it's almost like I'm trying to see it from two different sides. I'm trying to see it as folk are looking at it and saying, getting a peek behind the curtain and saying, that looks an absolute shambles. He's left. Who's next to leave? Like, what would I be walking into here? Or the positive spin I would try and put on it is, it might be an attractive option for someone to come in and say, right, I've got these positions to fill. I've got this guy in mind. And I'm bringing my own team in. I know I can succeed in this role. So that's the kind of way that I'm trying to go and looking at it. But at the moment, I think it's more the comments from King that linger in the back of my mind, saying that about the board, about the investor drought as well, that we're not an attractive option just now to anyone out with Rangers. We don't know, and I've seen the comment there from CGM55 saying the guy who left, what exactly did he do? As far as I can tell, he wasn't actually doing anything that important. It's hard for us to say because we're from the outside looking in. None of us sitting here knows what he does. We're football fans that care about our club. But in terms of the CEO, Gilligan said that I think they were working towards getting him in before Christmas. Now, for me, right now, that is absolutely critical in terms of, you think of the timelines there. That January, we're going to have to start looking at Bosman signings, the guys that are coming out of contract towards the end of the summer to build towards next season in terms of what we're going to have in place come next season, because you don't want to see you coming in next summer, and then we're already behind schedule. So I've really got to hope that we're closer than what it feels like with regards to the CEO and how we move forward as a club, because it's very, very bleak in the background at the moment. Anyway, more on-field stuff and maybe a wee bit more positive.
Kyran, just a point on the.
Craig wants to go back to the negative. Sorry, folks.
Just I've seen a point, and it's one that's continually raised, and it's Scott Kearney there saying we need Dave King back. In my opinion, absolutely not. It couldn't be that. We couldn't have a worse move than bring Dave King back at this moment in time. He's not what we need. He gets too caught up in the small, petty things outside of the club, and we get embroiled in all sorts of minor legal things that we end up losing more often than not, and it just distracts from the day-to-day stuff. I don't doubt that he's a Rangers fan. I don't doubt that from his perspective he's doing what is best for the club, but he's absolutely not what we need at this moment in time. I don't know what you think of that, Kyran.
Well, JB, I think you were going to chime in.
Yeah, no,
Would we have him back?
I was just going to say, I don't know whether it's Dave King that we need back. I think what people probably want from a Dave King is someone that we can get behind. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if you get a bit of a corporate Colin coming in, or John Bennett, who was obviously not, he wasn't media minded. So we need someone that I think is comfortable talking to the media and comfortable talking to fans, and has that bit of that know-how. But to Craig's point earlier, you want somebody, I'm not going to use the phrase best in class because that's been used enough and we failed on that, but we need someone that come in and can show that they've maybe done this at a really big club. It might be that we might need to do something short term. So we need to bring somebody in. I mean, I threw this name out a few weeks ago. Someone like a David Dean. I'm not saying we could attract that level of name, but just someone who's maybe done it in the past. Say, I could do us a favour. Well, favour. Come in, do this for 2 years. Get a grip of this club. Show us what we need to do, and then go from there. Because there's plenty of football men out there, and as you touch on, every time you hear people talking about Scottish football, they always seem to say, I would love to have had a crack up there in some form of capacity, whether it be ex-players, ex-managers. The fella from the FA, whose name escapes me, Adrian.
Yeah, I was trying to remember his name.
Is it Brevin or something? Yeah, but anyway, I'm not vouching for him, but somebody with that background that you can go, you know what, he's worked at the FA, he's worked at 3 or 4 really good Premier League clubs. He'll no doubt have a little black book of contacts. I think he's now got a sport and training company or something in Germany. So again, just someone who can give us that little bit of a spark, but someone that we can relate to. I think the Bevington, thank you, RFC 72. I think we just want someone that we can relate to, and I think Dave King, we could kind of see it, because as fans we wear our heart on our sleeve sometimes, and he showed us that. He was all behind the Gerrard appointment. It was me, look what I've done. Wow. He also brought in Kashinya. So it's the rough with the smooth. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I kind of sit in the fence a wee bit with it, and I know I really shouldn't come on a podcast and say I sit in the fence, but it is a kind of, right, we need to move in a different direction. We need something fresh. We need a clean slate. But if King promises, right, I've got investors lined up here that will bring us back to a level that we can compete with Celtic, and then a level to stand on our own 2 feet. We were making money, Champions League, transfers, the player trading model, etc., then I would be for it. But it's all very cloak and dagger with what's going on in the background just now at Rangers, and we're just the guys that kind of sit here and guess and try and piece it all together and try our best with it. But we'll move on, unless Craig, do you want in again, Craig? Are you all right?
No, I'm actually, to be fair, Reddy said King won us the league. I think a lot more people contributed to winning the league than just Dave King.
Yeah, he got 25 goals that season, so he was all right. Anyway, guys, don't know if you've seen, I presume you will have seen, Vaclav Černý coming out in his actually second press conference since he came here, which is quite unusual for a player that's here on loan to be so public, and he does seem like quite a quiet guy. And I felt like he had stuff to get off his chest in terms of our most recent game at Ibrox, where he was a bit, I don't know, was it a hand gesture towards the crowd when they got on his back for not doing things quite the way that we wanted. And I felt like he was refreshingly honest. what he said was that the supporters have all the rights, but from my point of view, it should be to support. I feel I speak for everyone when I say we all want to give our best every single time. Sometimes I don't think they realise that. It's been tough for someone like me who's always willing to give my all, and sometimes I show it too much. I made a bad reaction, but it was because I want to help the team as much as I can. JB, is this for you something that's quite welcoming? Because I think as fans, we can be quick to judge players and in terms of not so much the player, but as the person. That Czerny's trying to get it through to the fans and say, look, I'm trying my best. Is this something you'd like to see a wee bit more of from the players, that they are a bit more honest and upfront with the fans?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it didn't feel like a tick box exercise interview, did it? It felt as if it genuinely come from the heart. Now, as much as it was nice to see, it was also quite sad to see at the same time, because I thought he sat there looking quite vulnerable, and almost a case of, I don't want to be here, but I'm here, so I'll tell you it as it is. It felt a bit like a counselling session for him. But I'd like to think he's actually come off the back of it. He's come off of it really well, I think, from a fan's perspective. Because one thing about Rangers fans, we just want the best. We want the best players on the pitch. We want them to be giving it their all. We've watched some shite players over the years who've gave it their all, and we've taken to them. Do you know what I mean? So if I think just cult heroes, do you know what I mean? So we need to. I think this guy's got a little bit more going for him. I think where we do get frustrated is because I think we've seen glimpses to show that he's got loads of ability, and he can on his day do the business for us. I mean, I don't think there's a set of football fans in the world like a Rangers fan, in terms of we'll write a player off, and fans very, very unoften come back on their opinion, and he's gone. Do you know what I mean? He is gone. But doing things like that and showing. You wouldn't surprise me his next game he'll get a great reception. Do you know what I mean? But again, that will only be if he plays well, and it'll only be if he wins. So I think it's been a rough couple of months for him, but I think it's been a rough couple of months for the club. You probably couldn't stand there and hand on heart and say there's been a player that's been an 8 out of 10 so far this season, which for us is totally unacceptable. There's probably an argument for Conor Barron, who's done really well. Now, I don't know whether he's doing really well, or it's just that how poor everybody else has been, that he's a little bit of a shining light for us. At the end of the day, he's a free transfer for Aberdeen that can't make the Scotland squad. So there's a little bit of reality there as well with that. However, I think we just need to hope that he can start to deliver the numbers. I mean, that's 3 goals already. He's on course for double figures, I say quite a lot. Like a bit of a broken record. I want players in my team to be hitting double figures in them positions. I think he will. I think he'll probably hit double figures for goals, and he'll be there or thereabouts for assists as well, if he gets the minutes. And I don't think he's got much challenge for that right-hand side as well. So, no, I'm hoping we still see a bit more of him. Hopefully he can go to the next level, take confidence, then 2 goals. The international break probably hasn't come at a good time for him. No doubt he'll come back injured or something. But we'll keep an eye on him and see how he gets on while he's away. I think I said that on the last pod. I still don't think we're going to get the most of him whilst we've got Tavernier playing right back, or the right back playing the role that the manager wants the right back to play. I think we need someone that will go around the outside for him, because then you're standing a defender up, and then Czerny's got the choice. They were cut inside, or like that goal that he scored, there was somebody on the outside for him. I can't remember whether it was Tavernier or not. But the defender's then stuck square. Whereas where he's not very good is when he's one-on-one, and he doesn't want to go both ways. He doesn't want to give the defender. The defender can read him quite well, because he doesn't tend to go right. Now, he took his goal okay, a bit of a scuff into the far corner, but he had loads of space, and if he hadn't got a shot away, you'd be really questioning him. So I'm hoping we get the most out of them, but as I say, I don't think it's going to be with the right back the way that is at the moment. And it's not against Tav, because I do believe that he's been asked to play a different position to what we're used to. We're used to Tav being the widest man, whipping balls in, coming in, arriving at the back post, getting a bit, well, I know this could turn into a James Tavernier pod. I think one could. But James Tavernier was taking up the number 10 position in the last game, and he was standing next to Barami and bringing 2 defenders with him. So, again, I think there's a lot of learning, but we're in October now, and the manager said things are going to be great come October. So, roll on the international break.
And Craig, JB touched on it there about Czerny. Do you feel like he's been a victim of the system that we play? There's been a few comments here as well. CGM55, our system is still an issue. 4-2-3-1 is garbage, and it's just on that as well, how we play that system. Tavernier coming inverted inside. JB was banging with what he said. Could he benefit from having an overlapping fullback that could give him that half yard, that could open things up? Because we've seen what he can do when he gets a half yard inside. You look at the goal at Hampden against Motherwell. You look at the goal the other night as well against St Johnstone. He has got that in him, and by all means, I'm not comparing him to Arjun Robin, but it's that thing where he's got the trademark where he can cut inside, and he's going to do that, and he's going to do it well and put it in that bottom corner. Do you think that we should play more to his strengths rather than him playing towards us, trying to manage someone like James Tavernier and behind him?
I think there are so many different aspects to this Cerny thing. Firstly, I really liked his honesty. I do wish all players would be as honest as that. I think fans would give them a lot more leeway if they were, and you can see that he knows he's messed up a few chances, and he doesn't need us to tell him that. I think that's fair. I think his reaction against Hibs, it's an interesting one, because you can understand why the player would be frustrated with that reaction when he's on the park. He's trying his best. I don't think anyone doubts that any footballer that goes on the park is trying their best. It's just, as fans, I'm pretty sure it's just a build up of everything, and not just that one player's performance. I think it's going back to we've desperately needed a right-sided forward to come into that role, because last year anyone we had in that role was crap. And then we were so frustrated that anyone we had in that role was crap, that frustration's just built and built and built and built. And that's not Cerny's fault. Cerny probably wasn't even thinking about Rangers this time last year. So it's not his fault that frustration's been building since well before he joined the club. It's obviously coming out as well during games when we see what he's doing, and he's maybe not hitting the standards we expect from him. But that's partly because he actually started quite well for us. He had the assist in Kyiv, against Kyiv in Poland. They had the goal against Motherwell. He's had a couple of chances where you expect him to take it, and he expects himself to take them. He spoke about them in the press conference, and there's probably a wee bit of it that comes down to the system as well. Like you say, we know what he's going to do. The opposition players know what he's going to do. He's going to cut inside on his left foot, but we need to create the space for him to do that, and we're not doing that at all. I think Hibs was particularly frustrating to watch, and that was obviously where that reaction happened. But it was frustrating to watch because every time he cut inside, he was just running into 3-4 defenders, and Hibs just packed that central area. And a lot of teams will pack that central area against us, particularly at Ibrox. So he did need someone running down the outside, and James Tavernier isn't doing that anymore. Whether it's by design, whether that's what he's been asked to do, or whether it's he's actually just lost that yard of pace or 2 yards of pace over the last sort of year, 9 months, year or so. But it might be a combination of the two. But I think we do really need that, and partly that's what you see when we saw glimpses of it on Sunday night against St Johnstone when Casemiro came on. There was a real difference in terms of the energy around that side of the park, and that's what makes me wonder if it's just James Tavernier starting on that slow decline towards the end of a career. He's well beyond 30 now. He's 32, if I remember rightly. So he's definitely in the sort of the latter stages of his career. So it would be no surprise if he was losing pace. I say that as though I'm not 32 and I lost my pace a long time ago. But I think it's when you see Casemiro come on, even when you see Dujon Stellan in that role as well, you just the extra energy, the extra pace, and the extra thinking it makes for opposition to do almost naturally creates a space for someone like Cerny. And I don't know if it's the system we've not been helping him, or it's just the personnel, but we've not been helping him to be the best player he can be.
Yeah, I don't disagree with anything you said there as well. And there's plenty of comments rolling in here. And JB, I'm going to come to you. Another winger at Rangers I want to talk about is one that Clement in his last press conference was asked about, and he was a wee bit, I don't know, discreet about how he gave the answer. when asked about Oscar Cortes and his injury, because we don't really know the full diagnosis of what's actually happened and what the injury is and the ins and outs of it. And he described it as more long-term. Has Cortes been unlucky, or is this more poor business from Rangers? And we've got an obligation to buy with, well, he's basically here for a year on loan, and then a 4-year contract starts once we buy him. Do you see this as bad business, or do you see it as he's just been that wee bit unlucky, given that he's only 20?
I think it's a mix of it all, to be honest. I think in terms of the player himself, there's no doubting there's ability there. You can see it. It's one of them guys that everything he does, you can see a spark, whether he beats a man, whether it's a clever pass, a shot, a little burst of pace. So you can see that there's lots of potential there. My concern with it is just the regularity that's happening. Now, he didn't play a lot of football in France when he was there, so there was nothing there that was kind of say, you know what, he's going to come to the SPL and definitely rip it up. We would definitely bring him from potential over, and that hence the reason why he came on loan. I'd like to have seen this being another season of a loan without necessarily that obligation to buy within there. If he comes in and has an absolutely unbelievable season, there's clubs queuing up to get him, then you kind of look at that and go, oh, you know what, we probably could have done that deal a little bit better. However, we've had our fingers burned too many times with players that have this problem. Now, whether it's unlucky, whether it's the players that we're signing are coming with injury history, I think it's just almost a case of, is he robust enough to play up in Scotland, whether it be because of the climate, whether it be because of the pitches that we play on, whatever it might be, but something's just not right. So these aren't impact injuries. I know we discussed in the WhatsApp group offline that before the news broke, I'd heard that it was a bad one, like a really bad one, and he was going to be out for long term. And then he wasn't in the training video, and then Clement said he was going to be out for a few weeks. Now, lo and behold, it's long term. I just wonder whether them initial rumours that were flying about were probably a little bit more accurate, and we haven't maybe wanted to put the pressure on the kid of saying, right, he's going to be out for another 6 months, whatever it might be, because it wouldn't be fair on him to kind of put that label on him, because with all due respect, if that's a season ender, for example, and that's horrific, do you know what I mean? And we're only... the season will just come and go, and he missed a lot of last season due to the injury that he picked up in Rugby Park. He started that particular game well, and a couple of weeks before you thought, right, this lad's got it. I'll be honest, I was delighted when we brought him back, because I thought, right, he'll settle in. He's been round. He stayed with us when he was injured, which I thought was really good, because I thought he's settled with the players. He'll probably build relationships. He'll come back even better again. But he just hasn't come back. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. We could sit here and go, oh, you'd have been better throwing that money in a little bit more at Seema. I remember people saying about Tillman at the time, we should have threw a little bit money more at him. But they've both gone on to, I'm not going to say better things, because from my perspective, playing for Rangers isn't better. But Seema's scoring goals in the Champions League. Tillman's is flying where he is and looks set for a big move to Juventus in the summer or in the January break. So, yeah, it's one that we've just got to, I feel as if we're saying this a lot tonight, we've just got to hope that it does well and see where we go. But there's no doubt there's a worry there for me. And back to your original question, was it a risk? I think it's a risk, but unfortunately it doesn't look like that risk is paying off right now. But let's not write him off. Let's hope that he has a touch of good luck, because hopefully he's used all of his bad luck up now.
Yeah, and again, I'm going to try and put a wee bit of a positive spin on this. Before we came live, he actually posted in his Instagram story, and he was doing headers with his dog. But bad news is it was the dog heading the ball back to him, and he was just kind of standing there catching it. So
I was going to say, he'll strain his neck, but yeah.
I swear to God, right, go and watch this. I'd play his dog at number 9 next week ahead of this.
Don't go there.
Greg, I'm going to stick with the left wing stuff for now. Again, a wee bit of a positive spin. He included Rabbi Matondo in saying that in the long-term quote. Since then, Matondo has posted on his socials saying, with the quotation soon and the emoji soon, and it looked like he was back in training. In terms of that left wing, because both players do play left wing, and we do seem quite short there at the moment. Now, we're led to believe that Ridvan Yilmaz could be back following the international break. Where do you see us going with that left wing slot? Could you see Ridvan coming back in at left back and Jefte being pushed on one, or do we stick with McCausland in there until the other guys kind of prove that they're fully fit? Like, where would you go with that?
I don't know. We just feel he said that it feels like we're quite weak there. I think we're weak there even if Matondo is back. Like, it doesn't fill me with confidence. It doesn't. He's like, if he's posting on Instagram saying soon, that doesn't fill me with excitement. That's just fill me with dread of having to watch him play left wing again. I think, and a lot of people are talking about, do we move Jefte up to left wing? Yeah, he's really impressed me at left back. He's been really good. I'd say he's been better than Yilmaz has been at left back, and I'd be wary of moving him just to accommodate another player. We've been guilty of that in the past, and just trying to fit too many players of in similar positions. It's Sterling is the prime example of where that's gone wrong, because he's just ended up playing all over the park, and actually the strength is actually playing people in their correct positions all the time and having 11 players who are playing in their strongest position. On the Cortes stuff, I think it's a real shame. I think it is. I think it's just bad luck. I don't think it's anything of a sort of theme in his career or anything like that. I think he had one injury for 11 days or something like that when he was at Lens. So I don't think it's a theme or a trend for him. It's just bad luck. The real discussion around that is we've got him on loan this season in an obligation for to buy him on a 4-year contract. How much of an obligation is that? Can you renegotiate that again? I doubt we'd get another season's loan, because how many clubs do you know send a player out on a loan 3 years in a row to the same club? But I don't know. He's a young player. Some of these young players you have to take a bit of a gamble on to try and make hay while they're still affordable for us. I think Cortes, I would buy him on the promise of that goal against Hearts alone, to be honest, because that goal against Hearts was tremendous and it showed exactly what he can do. I don't know if JB's trying to remember what the goal against Hearts was.
I don't remember it being as good as what you've described it. It reminds me similar to the one where Tondo scored at home to PSV.
It was
low across the keeper.
It was hard and low with the inside of his foot to the bottom right corner. He hit it first time. I think it was just I thought it was an impressive goal all round, to be honest. But if that's what he can offer us, then
JB's hard to please.
It is hard to please. Or maybe I'm just clutching at any straw I can find.
No, I agree with Creag. I thought it was an unbelievable finish. Ball coming at him at pace, and he's just killed it with a finish. Yeah,
I think Cortes is a real promising player, and I think we'd struggle to find another player that is as promising as him. So I'd be willing to take the punt on him. The only thing is tying yourself into a 4-year contract. But again, similar to Czerny, Cortes has kind of been burned with the reputation of players gone by. People like Kamar Roof, who were just perennially injured. Players like that who we're just fed up of hearing, oh, this player's injured again, this player's injured again. That's not Cortes's fault. Cortes has turned up in January and started to play for us, got injured, got himself fit again, and he's got injured while playing for us. That's not necessarily his fault. So I'd be willing to give Cortes more time, and I would quite like to sign him. I'd maybe just renegotiate the length of the contract potentially, or negotiate the fee down slightly if it's $4 million, because that seems quite expensive.
Yeah, and in the same token, like a lot of people would have said the same for Tom Lawrence and John Suter with regards to their injuries. And it seems like so far this season, apart from Lawrence picking up an impact injury, these happen in football, that Clement's got them, on the right track, and they are back to fitness and pulling a lot of games together in a row consecutively, which is good. But again, we'll move on slightly, guys. Thank you very much for everyone with the comments. While you're here, and there's plenty of people watching at the moment, could you please like the video? Also, if you get involved in the comments, we appreciate that too. And even more so, if you could subscribe, please. We do this for nothing. We don't ask anything. We try our best to entertain. Sometimes it doesn't seem that way. So the only thing that we ask is that you like the video, comment, and at most, please subscribe. Guys, I'm going to come away a wee bit from what I've been talking about player-wise, and I want to look ahead to October itself, okay? Now, JB, for me, October is made even bigger given where we are at the moment. We're 5 points behind. We're sitting in third. Aberdeen are absolutely flying in second. We only actually have 4 games in October, believe it or not, and even crazily, even more, that we're going to come to the 20th of October and we've only played 7 league games come that day, and we've had 2 international breaks. It's crazy. So we come back for Kilmarnock away. We're then at home to Stoya Bucharest, or Stoya, I'm not sure what we call them now. St Mirren at home after that, and then Aberdeen away. Now, the 2 that jump out there, and this is all within the space of 10 days, Kilmarnock away and Aberdeen away. I feel like that's almost like make or break with our season. I know that sounds very premature to be saying that in October, but given that Aberdeen are above us, and given that Kilmarnock are a good side and Rugby Park's a hard place to go, like, where are you in terms of how important October is to us as a team at the moment?
Yeah, I think it's a massive month. I think this is why these are the games that you look at the start of the season, the tricky ones. You look at that and you go, when are we going to Rugby Park? When are we going to Pittodrie? When are these fixtures? And let's hope that they fall well. That Aberdeen game at the end of the month on a Wednesday night is going to be like a European away game for us, which might suit us, because we'll be going there with a, I'm not going to say we'll never be underdogs when we come up against Aberdeen, but we'll be going there, and I think that one will take care of itself. And hopefully by the time then it's another few games under the belt and things are clicking. And they've had a cracking start. There's no point in getting away from that. However, they haven't played either of the old firm to have that bubble burst. How many times you see it? Teams come out at the start of the season absolutely flying, and then they get a bad result, and then followed up by another bad result, and so on and so forth. So I think we've just got to, we'll take care of that one when it comes. I think the Kilmarnock away, when we come back, will be really interesting to see whether the players come back on. We just keep that winning form that we've been on. I don't think the team has clicked yet. I think we can probably all agree. I don't think we've sat there this season other than was it Ross County or Hampden? That's probably the only game where you go, yeah, that's clicked. It was Ross County, wasn't it? That's the only one where you go, right, okay, enjoyed watching that. I think by half time, we kind of, I think I actually watched that one in Benidorm, but the beer was flowing. It was like, right, chill, we'll just enjoy the second half. Rabbi Matondo was chipping in with goals and life was good. So I think we just need to start clicking again. So if we especially if we can start off there, and then we've got, as you touched on there, we've got Stow next game back. They've lost their star man through injury, I read today somewhere, and one of their other star man got sent off in the last game. So they're coming to Ibrox a little bit weaker. You'd like to think we'll get a European type performance Thursday night, fans behind us, especially if we've just gone to Rugby Park and won. However, they started their Europa League campaign really well, away win in Greece and a home win against, I think it was FC Riga or something. So it'll be interesting to see how we set up against them. I'd like to think it's games like this that we have to win. If we're going to go into European competition playing teams that are our level or below, we should just be beating them. Malmo, for example, I don't think there's one of their Malmo players gets in the Rangers start 11. So therefore, we should be beating them. It's not an intimidating place to go. It was a great result because of how we started the season. But I'd like to see us going to teams like Malmo when we went to Midtjylland a few years ago and just beating them. Do you know what I mean? They're playing Farmers every other week. So, which is rich coming from obviously our league. And then St Mirren hopefully should just take care of itself. And then I say that big one at the end of the month. I'm looking forward to it. I think that'll be it'll be their cup final most definitely. But it'll be interesting to see where we are come that point. But as I say, if we can get 9 points out the league and another 3 points on the board in Europe, I think we'll all be smiling come November.
Yeah, Craig, similar to what JB said there as well. Stoya type of team we should be beating. Malmo, probably a single player from that squad wouldn't get in our team, which is astonishing to say that considering our team at the moment, given our form. What's your expectations for October?
The expectation is always to win, isn't it? I think it's difficult to get away from that when you look at the games. You're looking at each of them individually. actually up till this point, it feels like it's been a long season already. But I think that's because we're each taking each game as it comes. We're not looking too far ahead. We're not even really looking across the other side of the city at anything. We're just looking at ourselves and trying to see improvements in our own team and our own performances and kind of analysing it from that perspective. And I think that's why it's, like JB said, the Ross County games, maybe the Malmo game, have been the two games that you can look at and say we've played well and I really enjoyed watching that. Outside of that, it has been a bit of a chore. Even Sunday night there was a bit like, I could have done better stuff with my Sunday night. I could sit and watch the NFL or something like that. But correct. It's correct. But I think it's literally one game at a time, and to be saying that in October is difficult. But we've actually been churning out the results. Leon aside, we've been churning out the results. We've been churning out the clean sheets. We've been after a difficult start, drop points at Tynecastle, drop points at Celtic Park, which are both places that you can drop points at over the course of the season and they're probably expecting to drop points at one or two of them over the course of the season. So it's the fact they were in the first four games didn't help us at all, but we're on a wee bit of a run now. We got the points against Malmo. Kilmarnock away is a difficult one. They've obviously just very timely got their first win of the league season in dramatic fashion last weekend, so they'll be going in full of confidence, and they'll be. And Derek McInnes always likes to set up a physical game against us. You're hoping to come away from that with 3 points. Stoya, similar to Malmo, Kyran, me and you were on the Malmo post match, and before the game we said, I've no idea how good Malmo are. They could be world beaters. They could be awful. And I've no idea what Rangers team's going to turn up either. It's that way where the Stoya will be the exact same as that. Yes, you're at home, which gives you a bit more confidence, and you hope that the home crowd. But as JB said, they've started their season well, and they've started their Europa League campaign well as well. So it's difficult to know. St Mirren, we say that will hopefully take care of itself. They've caused us a few problems in the past. But at Ibrox, you'd hope it would. And then Aberdeen away, I think they go to Celtic Park in the first game back after the international break. So that'll be a tough one for them. And that's where I guess you'll really see what they're for their first test and see what they're made of. Their new manager seems to have them playing pretty decent football. He's got them into that winning run. And when you get that winning mentality and you do it week after week, games just start to get ticked off. We see it time and time again. We've probably seen it the past month or two, to be honest. Games just get ticked off without too much difficulty. But I think that Pittodrie one, if you win that, then you're absolutely fine. If you lose that, then you're in trouble. It's such a fine line. But hopefully, as a Rangers fan, you're going in hoping for 4 wins, and you're expecting 4 wins. I think it's difficult to look past that.
Yeah, when you look back to last season, when we managed to kind of claw it back and get ourselves back in the title race, obviously we know it didn't end so well, but I think our best stuff under Clermont was when we went week to week, just one game at a time, the old cliche that we're not looking too far ahead. And I feel like we're in that zone in that area just now, but the team itself is in a different place in terms of the amount of players that have went out and the amount of players that have came in, and the fact that we're trying to gel and get something really going. Now, this is, I think, is a prime opportunity to get that going. And you said it as well, Craig, about expectations. We always expect to win. In terms of the past 2 games, right, we spoke there about like how high we are. You could have scraped us off the ceiling after that result against Malmo away, and then Leon come to Ibrox, a Leon team that have spent 180 million with Alexander Lacazette up front and just bags of talent all over the field. And the reaction after the game was hysterical, basically, because we had been hammered at home by what is a very good Leon team packed with talent. Then St Johnstone come to Ibrox. We don't exactly put on the most glamorous of performances. Craig, should our expectations change as fans in terms of where the team is at the moment, in terms of that rebuild, that we may need a few windows until we are where we should be?
I don't know, I've kind of been banging this drum since the summer, but I don't exactly put into practice what I preach on that one. I think when you take a step back in the cold light of day, in the middle of an international break, you have to look at it and go, we know our team isn't great. We know our team's in transition. We know there are certain players there that we wouldn't want in the team, but they are there, and we're trying to make the most of that situation. And Philippe Clement's trying to make the most of that situation. And that's where it's difficult to understand how to judge Philippe Clement, as well as a lot of people saying that if we lost to Aberdeen, for example, then that's the end of him. I don't think it is. I don't think we're anywhere near that point yet, but there's definitely question marks around him. From an expectations perspective, it's difficult, because when you see a game like wasn't at Celtic Park the way we did, it's difficult not to get emotional and to say we should be doing better, and to point out all the flaws, and to see the weaknesses that we have. But then you go after that and you get 5 clean sheets out of 6 games, and you're still kind of looking at the weaknesses going, I'm not sure about that. I just don't know if it's the argument of, are our expectations too high because of where we've been in the past and what we expect and what the stature of the club and all of that, or are we, if we lower our expectations, are we lessening our view of the club, and are we just accepting mediocre rather than expecting what we should expect? It's a difficult one I don't actually know what the answer. I've kind of went a bit of ramble there. I don't actually know if I've got an answer to that one, but I'd kind of jump between them all. And in the cold light of day, I think, yes, expectations for me this season weren't high at all. Especially with European football, didn't really have anything. The Malmo game surprised me, and I was like, right, okay, maybe we've got a wee bit of a shot here to do something, at least get some European football after Christmas. The league was very much, let's take each game as it comes, and we'll do that. But when you get difficult results like Celtic away, like Lyon at home, it's difficult not to get emotional about it.
Yeah, and JB, Craig touched there on Clement. In terms of expectations, not just for the team, but your expectations for the manager himself. Now, a lot of people online, and that is probably, Twitter itself is probably a microcosm after games that you shouldn't really judge things by. And a lot of people are saying, oh, get Clement out, he's not the man to take us forward, blah, blah, blah. Should our expectations of Clement be slightly different, given, let's put it this way, the shit show that he's inherited and that he's trying to solve at the moment?
Yeah, I think from my perspective, the way I kind of judge things is, and I get the circumstances that can be freaks, but let's just take Kilmarnock in isolation next game up. How many of their players get into our starting 11? Not one gets anywhere near it, in my opinion. You might have the odd Armstrong can do a job.
Yeah, I say Armstrong would be the one that's potentially.
He wouldn't get called up for Czechoslovakia. Do you know what I mean? He wouldn't, because he's done that, and he's never moved for £7 million to across Europe. He's a no one. However, one thing we do is when we go to these grounds, we show them too much respect. Malmo would smack the arse out of every team in Scotland. They'd be finishing second or third. However, what we do when we go to these grounds, and unfortunately it's going to go on until time finishes, we go to these grounds, we build these teams up to be something that they're not. And I think the atmosphere sometimes gets on top of our players, and that's probably more of a sign of the type of personnel and the characters that we've had in the team over the years. But I don't think it's player ability. There's no doubt that that's it. I say we've got better players than these clubs. It's just whether they adapt on the day, and that's where the manager has to get the most out of the players that he's got. If I was looking at, and I use the same example when I go up against Celtic, I do think one of our 11 gets in their strongest starting 11. Whether I like it or not is a different thing. However, I think that's reality. So when we come up against them, we've got to make sure that our players are giving it their all. They're running through walls and absolutely showing, okay, might not have the same ability as you guys. However, we're gonna beat you with energy, with pace, with strength, a little bit of ability. And then maybe over time we can prove that maybe Diamandi's a better midfielder than one of their 3. We can say that Dess is a better goal scorer than I forgot his name now, Kyogo, or the fellow they signed from Norwich, whose name I probably shouldn't have forgot. Ida. But that's where my head's kind of at now. Whether that's just a bit too common sense, but I'd like to think that's the way we should be approaching these situations, these teams. So back to your point about expectations with Clement, he's got to stop doing things that are unforgivable. That's the bit for me. He's got to stop bringing Kyran on in a European game. The guy's a crab. Do you know what I mean? If he got released tomorrow, he ends up at a League One club in England, if he's lucky. We shouldn't be bringing stuff like that on. So, sorry, Creag.
Yeah, on that, just while I've got this comment up, it was kind of in line with what you're saying there. RFC 72 saying, my worry with Clement is he's tactically pretty poor and stubborn. Substitutions are baffling half the time. Mm-hmm. His comments at pressers worry me, and he doesn't put players in positions to succeed fully. Is that of a concern to you? I know that's kind of been the common theme throughout comments and social media and speaking with other fans.
I think that's the big, that comment's probably nailed it. As I say, I'm not too concerned with the quality of player that we've got. Do we want better? Yes, of course we do. 55 season when we went the whole league unbeaten, we were picking holes in them. It's what we do. We've had the 9 in a row teams. We picked holes in them. It's just life. It's just the life of a football fan. However, I think we just need to make sure that, and I include the fan base in this, we've got to get behind what we've got. I think when we look at, we've got to make sure Ibrox as players are coming there and going, I don't want to play football there anymore. And unfortunately, we've made it an environment at the moment where players come, and some of them, say Johnston players on Sunday night, I thought they played the game with a big smile on their face. Do you know what I mean? And they looked as if, right, you know what, I'm going to run at you. I've got time on the ball. I'll showcase what I can do. The 2 lads up top that were really quick, you could see that they had a little bit about them. But we invite that pressure. We let teams play. There was a instance in the Celtic St Mirren game the other day, and each one of the Celtic players, the back line was no more than 10 yards off the edge of the St Mirren box. Similar situation with us. Our Proper and Suter were 10 yards past the halfway line when we were attacking, and I just feel as if I do feel as if tactically we're a little bit inept at the moment, and that does worry me, because I thought when he come in, I was very much looking forward to this forward-thinking manager. Come from abroad, he's won leagues, he knows how to grind leagues out. It's very repetitive, and sometimes you've got to go around the old horses for courses. And I think we've discussed a few times in terms of shape and stuff and everything else. But we've just got to be very careful, because I think there's a lot of talent in that team, and I think Diamandi's a good example of someone who we're not getting the most out of. Sterling, we're not getting the most out of. Now, whose fault is that? Is that the player's fault? Is it the manager's fault? Is it the system's fault? Is it the coaching's fault? I don't know. However, to your point, he's got to get these decisions right. He's got to come through this month squeaky clean. I'm not saying that'll be calling for his head, because we've done that too many times, but he's got to change and he's got to move with it. I'm all for a philosophy, but it's only a philosophy if it's working or progress. Under Gerrard, we didn't win everything for the first couple of years. In fact, we didn't win anything. But however, we could all see, you know what, we're fit. This Rangers team is fit. This team's going to go to places like Parkhead and Pittodrie and Kilmarnock, and we're going to go there without fear. But unfortunately, I don't think teams fear playing us, and we need to get away from that quickly.
Kyran, I think I have to agree with JB. How stringent he is in sticking to the 4-2-3-1, no matter what, no matter who we're playing, no matter what the situation is, no matter what players we have available, is the biggest question mark for me. I don't mind that he makes halftime substitutions, although it does kind of point to the fact that he probably thinks he got this team selection wrong in the first place. I think that's generally what halftime substitutions mean. But I think it's generally sticking to that no matter what is the issue. Sticking to that style of play and bringing on the likes of Kieran Dowell just so we stick to that same formation is not the way to do this. And going to Celtic Park, and a lot of people won't like it, the fact that I'm not entirely sure we should be going toe to toe with them at the moment. I think, especially in their own patch, I think we should be setting up to be a bit more defensive and be more solid and to hit them on the counter and with pace that we've got and do it that way and build through the game. Steven Gerrard was really good at that when he first came in terms of almost accepting, right, they've probably got better players than us just now, so let's make it difficult for them and play that way. We need to accept in some games, we need to accept against Lyon that we should probably mix up how we're going to play and accept that they're a slightly better team than us and take it from there. I mean, are we going to go to Old Trafford and play 4-2-3? Maybe not the best example because Manchester United aren't any good either, but are we going to go to Old Trafford and play 4-2-3-1 as well? Is that how we're going to be? We need to switch it up, and there are. I'm not saying switch up every game, and I'm not saying it has to be you change it up for like when you're playing St Mirren, St Johnstone, etc. But see, when you're playing teams that are of good quality, play to our strengths and try and minimise theirs, and that shouldn't be too hard. And that seems like a real basic for a football manager, and rather than sticking to an individual philosophy and sticking to an individual style. A lot of people have spoken about, and I guess the concern is if we try and play defensive football and yet we're still cut open by one pass through the midfield, then you're like, well, where are we then? I don't know. But that's the concern as well. He hasn't found a way to stop that, and I don't know. And it's something that is so glaringly obvious in every single game we play, no matter the level of opposition we play. It happens 2 or 3 times a game, and you're thinking, well, surely that's something that you're working on the training field to sort. He's had one international break already. We're in the middle of another one just now, and I have no confidence that we're going to come back against Kilmarnock and Kilmarnock won't do that to us again. And it's just we're not seeing the signs of progress. I think, yes, we know the weaknesses of this team, but we're not seeing those being minimised and trying to play to our strengths.
Yeah, I feel in terms of Clermont and the results and where we need to be this season, I think in the short term, if we can be within touching distance of them come the next Old Firm game, he gives himself a real puncher's chance at getting the monkey off his back, getting that first Old Firm win, and then getting even closer to them. We can forget about what they do week to week. It's up to us what we do game by game. And like we've said throughout this show, we've got to go game to game and just churn out the 3 points, churn out the victories. It may be ugly at times and people don't like that, and it may put pressure on Clermont the uglier it gets, but we can only work with what we've got at the moment, and the goal has got to be like close that gap, get back into second, and then give us a real chance and give us something to shout about come New Year at the Old Firm game. So fingers crossed we've got something to look forward to, but I'm pretty sure we could sit here and talk all night about Rangers, guys, but we'll need to wrap it up at some point, and unfortunately that is just now. So thank you very much for being, I'll say, my co-hosts tonight, because you've carried me through this. Craig, JB, thank you guys. Again, thank you to everybody that's tuned in, especially everybody that's commented. As I said during the show, please like and please subscribe. It really makes such a difference to the channel, and it means that we can keep doing what we do and produce the show that we do. So good night, everyone, and thank you very much for joining us.